Welcome, everyone. We are live this Wednesday. I just have to look at the top for the day. Oh, Lord. It is Wednesday, or as I like to say, it is Wednesday. How popular narratives influence us, aka, so allegedly, women are gold diggers? You see, that is a popular narrative. That's a popular narrative. Hey, love troll. That is one of the most popular narratives I've heard. So much so that my son is only 14 and he says, "But mom, why would I get married if I go out and then I get taken to the cleaners? She gets all of my stuff." And I said to him, "Well, where did you hear that?" He said, "Well, that's what everybody's saying." Hmm? That he says that's what everybody is saying, mom. I said, "Everybody?" I said, "There are 8 billion people on the planet, and everybody is saying the same thing." You see, and I said to him, "We only ever hear a snapshot or see a snippet of something online. And because we see it over and over and over again, that is what influences us and the decisions that we make." I want you to ponder it. This is not the only narrative we've heard. We've heard many narratives. But which ones have we heard? Think about it. Which ones have we heard incessantly? And then what happens? We start thinking in a particular way. We have our conversations in a particular way. That's what we do. And so the interesting thing is, if you observe the narrative, and that was the final thing I told my boy. The thing that you are hearing incessantly over and over and over again on whichever social media platform you go to, there's a reason why it is being promoted. Don't just think it's happening randomly, it is being promoted. So remember the law of gender. A thought has been generated and then projected outward. Will you be the open and willing womb that accepts it? That's what we do. And again, it is not that we go out and we hear things and we say, "Oh, that's not true." Sometimes we don't guard ourselves. And then this thing seeps into our psyche. Then the next thing you know, you're out and about and you're having that conversation. You're saying, "Well, oh my God, you know what I heard? I heard that dot, dot, dot." So anytime, because here, remember how you discover your hidden habit or your hidden trigger. It is the thing that you see yourself doing the most repetitively, right? You see yourself doing it the most, and then you ask yourself, "Why am I doing this?" That's how you catch that hidden habit. Well, the same principle applies if you are looking for a hidden agenda or a hidden narrative. I use hidden in parentheses in bunny ears. It is hidden because you keep hearing it all the time. But it's hidden because it's in disguise. And sometimes not so much. So that's how you recognize what is being projected outward. You recognize the narrative. That's how you recognize the narrative, the thing that is being repeated to you over and over and over again. So instead of taking it and running with it, you listen and you assess it. And you ask yourself, wait, why is this so important that a particular narrative is being spewed all over the place? Why is that necessary? Hmm? You see, this is why I say to you, it is more important to assess the information than it is to judge the information. Because if you assess the information, you will recognize which things are valid and worthy of your attention, hmm, rather than allowing them to polarize you so that way it gets you to behave in a particular way. This is why these popular narratives are always in your face. Every time you turn around, it's in your face, right? So that's why you ask and you assess instead of judging. That's why. So that when the thing arises, oh my God, women are gold diggers. These women are no good. They're only ever out to get your things. That's what we hear. That is a popular narrative. Now, as a woman, you may want to defend yourself and say, well, that's not true. That's not what all women are like. But if you assess the situation before before you commit to having to defend yourself, because remember, the minute you defend yourself, you know what that tells you about you? It tells you that you were polarized, and the thing felt is the thing experienced, which means you have this visceral response in your body. You actually get angry. That's not true about women. You don't know what you're talking about. And because you felt it and it moved you, you became predictable. Now I know how to manipulate you. All I have to do is to rile you up. This is why I'm saying to you, it works every single time. As within, so without. So if I plant the seed within you by saying it over and over and over again, it's now in your mind because you've heard it incessantly. And then we don't just become the hearer, do we? We become the doer of having to defend or debate or prove our point. And now you've been polarized. The minute you get up to defend it, the minute you get up to argue for it, you have been polarized. And now that you've been polarized, you will see yourself. You will see how simple it is to be pulled in a direction. And when you recognize that about yourself, don't judge, because which human does not love the more salacious of things? Oh, we all love it. The juicier, the better. This is why it is imperative that we grasp. You be the one to move yourself instead of allowing yourself to be moved from the outside. This is why. Because if you can't think for yourself, if you just run with the narrative that allegedly all women are gold diggers, and then as a man you say, well, this is true, and then you begin to watch women in a particular way, you test them to see how they're coming to the table. As within, so without. So now as the man, you're you're starting to be somewhat combative because you're looking for the fight. You're looking for a way of having to defend yourself. Whereas before, if you hadn't given in to the narrative, you would be open. Oh, but Angela, shouldn't I protect myself? It would be foolish of me to just go out in the world and be naive. No one is asking you to be naive. What you're being asked to do is to develop who and what you are. Because when you develop yourself, you are the blueprint for the experiences you have, which includes the women that you meet. Hmm? You see, we think we think we're making our own decisions most days. But if you go back into your childhood, you'd see the things we've learned back there. The things from the past influence the things in the present and the future. Those things that we've learned. You're okay. You're okay, huh? That's why Neville Goddard can say that things in the past don't remain in the past. They go forward to meet you in the present. They go forward to meet you in the present. And it's the things that you hear. Mm-hmm. The things that you hear over and over and over again that influence you. So they appear as popular narratives. They appear as the opinion of the day. But instead of allowing ourselves to be pulled in any which direction, left or right, go down the middle and observe. Observe what's happening on the left side. And you'll begin to see that both sides, left and right, are the same in their nature. One is arguing for and one is arguing against. Both are arguing. And what happens in an argument? Well, the fur flies in an argument. So I trust this morning that this is making a little bit of sense to you about how we are influenced by popular narratives. And we are influenced on the sly. Because it's not what you hear that is true, you know. Remember, Neville says, an assumption, though false, if persisted in, will harden into fact. So if you keep hearing it all the time, this is the point. Repetition is also one of the ways we are programmed. Repetition is one of the ways we learn and get things, we absorb things by way of repetition. So it's not what you hear, it's how many times you hear it. That's why popular narratives, doesn't matter which way you turn, there is one. How many can you think of as you go about this conversation today? How many popular narratives come to mind? Then, when you recognize how many narratives there are, observe them, assess them, instead of just blindly accepting them as true and or blindly allowing them to pull you in any whichever direction. That is what we do on a daily basis. Instead of just going along with the status quo, go along to get along. I hear so many things in a day, and I sit there and I'm like, this can't be for real. And then I just say, you know what? Not my circus, not my monkeys. And I just let it be. Because as I say to you, naturally as humans, the thing that we feel, that is why Marketing 101 Make your customer feel. Feel. Why? Because the thing felt is the thing acted upon. It is law. This is why the law of vibration comes before polarity. You have to move a person in a direction. But the way in which you move them will show you their rhythm. How do they behave? And when you see how they behave, well, you see their rhythm. Now what can you do? Polarize them according to their rhythm. Why? Well, that depends on what you want them to do, how you want them to act. This is why the narratives exist in our world. And the more salacious the narrative, ooh, the more you get to say, you know what? I'm just going to observe from a distance. I don't need that sprinkled on me over here. You know, if you're walking down the street and you see the doggy poop on the sidewalk, you sidestep it. Mm-hmm. That's what you do with certain narratives. Sidestep them. Because really and truly, when you step in that doo-doo on the and it's on your shoe, that smell stays with you for quite some time. This is what it does. It influences your decisions. It does not remain idle. So, as I mentioned, now, as a woman, you may feel like you have to defend yourself. Well, that's not me. And as a man, you say, well, how do I know? Prove me wrong. Wait, what? Prove you wrong? I don't know what you're thinking. It is not your job or my job to prove your validity to another person. It is your job to get up in the morning and know that you are valuable to begin with, period. But now we run around saying things like, well, what are you bringing to the table? And we come up with all the witty responses. Well, I am the table. Dude, you've been caught up in it and you don't even notice. This is what I'm saying to you. A man of character or a woman of character, what do? They focus on self-discipline. They're not distracted by idle gossip because they know the impact it can have on them and their decisions. That's why you guard your heart and your mind, because it is not what comes out of the man or the woman that defiles them. No, wait. I'm saying it the other way. It's not what goes in that defiles, right? It's not what goes in, but it is what comes out that defiles. Why? As within, so without. If you allow something to come into your life and taint you, now whatever you encounter, you see it as tainted, you speak about it as tainted, because you've allowed this thing to influence you. That's what we've done. But that was never yours to begin with. That idea, that narrative, that thought was never yours. It doesn't matter how far back you can go in your life and say, yes, it's true. I grew up seeing women be this way. I grew up seeing men be this way. That's the point. You grew up seeing something because someone had the opinion first. But we've got to get to a point in our lives where we can see a narrative and hear a narrative and rise above the narrative. You have to rise above the narrative. Why? To rise above the narrative means you're not allowing certain things to influence your day to day life. And as I said, they're very sneaky because sometimes you don't have to hear a word. All you have to do is see a color, see a shape. Hmm? Oh, indeed. If I showed you a book of symbols that we have in our day to day lives right now, we call them emojis. If I showed you them, you'd know exactly what they were. Nobody had to tell you, you just saw them over and over and over again. This is the point today. The narrative that is incessantly repeated has a purpose. And the purpose, look at the narrative, which is to assess the narrative, and you'll be able to devise what the purpose is. Is that narrative divisive? Ask yourself a question. Why is it so important that people not get along? Well, didn't we hear that famous line? Why can't we all just get along? Why can't we? Why can't we all just get along? Because of certain narratives. But an assumption, though false, if persisted in, will harden into fact. If you keep hearing that this type of person is a particular way and you believe it, you have to see the evidence of what you believe. So that you can say, see, I told you so. Well, because you cannot be made a liar of. You must always prove true to yourself. That's why. So when you hear or see a narrative, assess it first before you commit yourself to the reaction. And I've told you how to recognize this. Habitually, we have a way of doing things, our rhythm, our pattern. So if the rhythm and the pattern is always to fly off the handle and be combative, be argumentative, well, then that's how you meet with pretty much every situation that you're going to encounter with that kind of an attitude. But you don't just meet with it like that. You begin to feel it as it creeps up on you. But that's how you know, because it moves you. So you begin to feel it. And when you begin to feel it, it's just like anxiety. Before that person sets foot outside their door, they know because they can feel the anxiety creep up on them. Your job, my job, is to nip it in the bud. Don't commit to it. You know what it is and you don't like it. Don't commit to it. What do you want to commit to instead? Because it is easier to avoid than it is to extricate yourself from the thing. Because it's sticky. It's like a web. You get caught up in it and you're pulling this way and that and you can't quite pluck yourself out. But you can feel it as it encroaches. So if you feel it as it is encroaching, make your decision there. Do I want to commit to this? And you find another way that brings relief from the present feeling that is beginning to creep up on you. Because sometimes when you give in to that thing, well, then it can be a little tricky to get out. But like I said, pay attention. If you take the time to pay attention to how the narrative makes you feel, now you can make a decision before you engage. This means to be aware of yourself as opposed to blindly allowing a narrative to just, what's an example I want to give you? Something sticky. You know, I want to, but I don't want to say it. It's quite like how you get the mouse, you know? I don't like the visual image, but it's fitting. The situation or the narrative is the sticky tape. Let's do it with flies. They're not as cute. The situation is like the fly paper. It is. Now, blindly, you're just flying around. There you are. Oh, no, shh. It may smell nice. And that's why you go and you attach yourself to it. But then all of a sudden, you can't get off. You're stuck. This is why prevention is better than cure. Take your time to assess a situation, which is the narrative, before you commit to a response. Because how you commit to the response is not telling you about them. It is telling them about you. How does this person behave? Well, observation. If you know how a person behaves, well, then you can do a lot with that. It's marketing 101. Isaac mentions it a lot on Fanbase when he says that Black people are the curators of cool. They can take anything and make it cool. Anything. And make it cool. So what do you want to be known for? Do you want to be known for taking the dance moves and making them cool? Do you want to be known for taking science and making it cool? Do you want to be known for taking tech and making it cool? This is why sometimes you choose what it is that you want to commit to. Because you will learn a lot about yourself when you do it. Because these popular narratives are the tape, the sticky tape, that once you put your hand on it, and then it will influence just about every decision you make. It will blind your eye. This way, now that if you want to be in a relationship, you don't have to overcome this narrative of, well, I got to be super cautious because you can't trust women. I got to be super cautious because you can't trust men. Wait, what? Is that how you want to get to know somebody? Through the lens of deceit? Then don't wear the lens of deceit. Remember, you and I are the blueprint for the experiences we are going to have. The question then becomes, what type of person are you? What type of person am I? That is the driving factor. Who are you? Not what can the world make you become. Because if we allow the world to mold and shape us, we are pawns. If I allow the outside world to mold and shape me, I'm a pawn. Because then I have no control. But if I take the time to develop my character, mold my own self into what type of person I want to be, now I am in control. I am in control of my own narrative. I bow to no one. That's the position humanity was designed to be in the first place. Sovereign. Not pawn, but sovereign. So that's why today I want to encourage you. Whenever you encounter a popular narrative, put the brakes on. Put the brakes on and just wait a moment. Assess that narrative. You're not asking you whether it's true or not. This is not what it is, because the person who it has happened to will tell you that it is true, but they can tell you it's true from their experience. If it hasn't happened to you, then it is not true for you. So take a moment to assess the narrative before you commit to reacting to the narrative. Because once we react to the narrative, sometimes it, like I said, it can be sticky. You may or you may not agree with me. I'm not here to uh, make you agree or disagree. I'm simply here to show you the law at work at all times, so that you and I can behave accordingly. Behave according to law, not according to the narrative. When you behave according to law, which means what's within you. I know, sweet boy, what is within you? That's what he's saying is in him, cuteness. Live according to that and make sure. We call it integrity. That's what we call it. Fancy words. But do your best to guard your heart and your mind. Do your best for that. Because we end up in a situation, if we don't guard ourselves, we end up in a situation planting seeds that we did not select, thereby reaping an experience that we didn't even want. This is what it is. So, today, my beautiful friends, what narrative will you create? Be the creator of the narrative, which is what? Love. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. Who is your neighbor? Everybody you pass. That's what it is. See, if we see the world through the lens of always having to protect ourselves mentally from, trickery, then where's the mind focused? The mind is focused on a state of deceit. So if the mind is focused on a state of deceit, then the things you encounter on the outside have to correspond to deceit. If we see the world through the lens of fear, then the experiences we encounter have to correspond to fear. This is why I strongly suggest, in the words of Michael Jackson, I'm talking to the man in the mirror, right? The man or the woman in the mirror is the one that matters most. That is the opinion that matters most. But here is how you get the opinion in line. We know the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. I like the way Neville Goddard says it. When he says, if you were going to offer someone $1 million, this is verbatim from his lecture. If you're going to offer someone $1 million and they say, oh, that's so kind, but I can't accept that. If what you offer is refused, will you take it? That is how you line up with everything. Whatever you're going to give, is it good enough for you? If it's good enough for you, then this is what it is. Give it to somebody else then. Do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. So that is why sometimes we've allowed narratives to taint our view. And we've allowed it to taint our view so blindly we went along with it that we don't even see how we've been corrupted by the narrative. So today, challenge the narrative, not on the outside, but within your own self. I've been hearing this for a long time. Is what really is that really true? Is that really true about a person? How about I just get to know a person? Truly get to know a person. To get to know a person, one must know themselves. It will help you. So that today, my beautiful friends, is the inspiration. Don't allow the narrative to taint you. When you see it or you hear it, observe it. Just observe it. Don't judge it, just observe it. And when you observe it, you'll begin to recognize what its motive is or what the motive was for putting it out. Is it bringing about unity or is it bringing about divisiveness? Then act according to that answer that you give yourself. Let us take a brief moment, shall we, to welcome everyone into the space. Love Troll, I see you. Love Troll, baby, love Troll. You're on Twitter. It's great to see you. Who's on YouTube and Facebook this morning? Well, who've made themselves known? Hey, Jeff, Sugar Visions, the better man. One. And Ruby, darling, I see you all here on YouTube and Facebook. Who's on Fanbase? This morning we've got 3P. Hey, 3P. I have not seen you in like forever. Bert McGurt's in the house, and cause I'm happy she's in the house today. Miss Boricua, lovely to see you. Unapologetic, I see you, darling. Joaquin, Stephanie, afternoon delight, I see you. Flo Smiles, Zeesty, Summer Rose, I haven't said that in a while. Ali, Marquise, KZ, and Oracle Treehouse. It is so good to spend time with you this lovely Wednesday. As you go forth this morning, as you hear the bowl this morning, begin to recognize any kind of a narrative that you have allowed to infiltrate you. And because you have recognized it right there and you see it for what it is, things wither and die for want of attention. So when you no longer give it your attention and your energy, it will leave you. And you're not governed by that narrative any longer. So if one comes to mind as you hear the bowl, let it go, right? That is what we do. Because it's the recognition that will help you to let it go. That is what it is. Okay? I just so love you. I truly do. Let us get the bowl this morning. And I don't know if you'll have bird song with the bowl or not. I've got my hand on him. So you might have bird song, you might not. But either way, we'll have the bowl. Countdown initiated. 5, 4, 3, 2. Love troll. It was so lovely to see you today. Lovely. What a pleasure. Remember tonight, 10:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I don't remember the title of the lecture, but I am sure it will be lit. I'm sure it will be lit, okay? Oh, indeed. So, Twitter, love troll. I love you. Enjoy the beautiful day. Much love to you. Twitter is closed. Let me get the water queued up for us. YouTube and Facebook, thank you all for being here. Ruby the Better Man, Sugar Visions, and Jeff. Oh, I have to remember, if you've not yet pre-ordered your Hermetic Oracle cards, let's get on that. And for those of you who have, hooray. Tonight, 10:45 p.m., my beautiful friends. I'll see you there. It is sure to be a great one. Listen, let me tell you what I discovered. I'll tell you I'll tell you here on YouTube too, because it pertains to YouTube. I knew I needed to make more shorts, short videos, because I said, listen, we've got to get the law out. And you see, Neville said something last night in the lecture. If you ask yourself, what is it that my customers need? From the very depth of your being, the answer will emerge. Well, wouldn't you know? This is a plug for StreamYard this morning, okay? This is a plug for StreamYard. I always found it challenging and boring, okay, as hell to make shorts. Because, you have to go in and find where you want and blah, blah, blah. Well, StreamYard made that a piece of cake. Listen, how long have I been using StreamYard now? Listen, every man awakens in their own time, and I'm glad I awoke last night. I didn't even go to bed till like 2 o'clock. I was up doing what? Editing shorts. Why? Because when you go into StreamYard, you click on it, the video, and it will tell you, it will give you the script. So you just read the script and you see where you want to be, and it's time stamped, and you move the little thingy to there. Get out. Do you know how many shorts I made last night? Oh, hallelujah. So I did a little chat with StreamYard, and I said, listen, do you do thumbnails too? And they said, well, not yet. And I said, okay, well, hurry. Because why am I telling you this? Because I had a weakness. My weakness was to just sit there and edit. But the question I had last night after the lecture was, what do people wanting to hear the law, what do they want? They want to hear it, and they want to hear it in snippets, and they just want to get it out there, get it out, plant the seeds like blowing dandelions in the wind. And seriously, I do not know what compelled me. I have no idea what compelled me to go into that side of StreamYard. I don't know. I can't answer that other than spirit, right? And so I went in, and there it was. And now I have all of the clips that I wanted to make from last night. And it's so easy. So now I'm just going to schedule them. Let me tell you something, Linda. I have never had something so easy in my life. But not only is it easy, but now it is fun. And so because it is fun, I'm sticking with it. You see? So the encouragement for us then is this: ask the question and you will be answered. That's the encouragement. Ask the question and you'll be answered. What does your customer need? What does your customer want? That's what I did last night. And let me tell you, the internet is about to be inundated with shorts. Is all I can tell you. Because all I did was ask. So today, what question are you asking? Because you will be answered. And there, hey, Nexodus. So I trust that I just realized something. I have a link in my description for people who want to use StreamYard. I just realized that. I just remembered it because I copy and paste it. Right? But this is my experience. It's absolutely like, it's a game changer. At least for me, it is. That's what I can say. Because you got to remember, me and technology are not always friends. And I just look at it and go, oh, can't somebody do it for me? But last night, because I asked the question, I saw how easy it is for me to do it myself. See? So yeah, that's what I want to say to you. Anyway, let's get the water, shall we? I can't play the water on YouTube. Sorry, y'all. Because it will be flagged for copyright. So YouTube and Facebook, you know I love you. And I'll see you tonight.